What is going on, y'all? So my gimbal is upstairs charging in my room, and we're in the garage right now, and so the phone is just resting on my workbench, and just over here smoking a cigar, slowly coming through the car, with the idea being that if I take my time, I'm more likely to discover stuff that's wrong with the car as opposed to rushing through it. So we got the shift linkage attached back onto the car, and it shifts really nice and smooth into all the gears. And so I kind of want to show you guys that in one of my last videos. Well, not one of my last videos, a video from a while back when I was troubleshooting the shifting issue on my car. I showed you guys third and fourth were a little bit unpredictable, so check it out. So just wanted to show you guys. So, you know, before, I don't know if you recall, but fourth gear, I kind of had to like move it over to the left a little bit and then shift. And then, yeah, third is up and it's looking okay. It's all tight, and this shifter, this K-tuned, feels pretty damn good, which is awesome. So, yeah. All right, it might seem pretty straightforward, but I went a little bit nuts. So I marked a bunch of bolts on here with whiteout pen. This has been marked, this ghetto thing. Mark the fuel lines, mark the bolts for the throttle body since I saw Jackie's back out. I marked the motor mounts, or the transmission mounts. I did not mark the starter bolts. I will go back and mark those. I marked I believe that's the hot wire. I marked bolts there. I marked bolts down there. And then the beautiful thing about marking all your bolts is if the car doesn't drive through a bath of solvent, which sometimes mine does because I'm always working on it, you can see the old marks still there, and you don't even have to go back and check them up again. So like, you know, that was there before. And then if you go back here, all these mounts for the subframe were here. And the sway bar. Same on this side. And we marked some of the fittings for oil pressure sending, alternator bolts and nuts. So marked quite a bit, marked the transmission mounts. And the idea with this is if you see any of the bolts backing out, you can stop it. We got the steering rack marked up. And we also got this side of the car assembled. So here we got the axle bolt axle nut is marked. We have all the bleeders marked. We have upper control arms marked. I basically went and I redid the protection for the brake line to tighten it with some duct tape. Back here we have, you know, all the markings. We have the ball joint protected. So we marked pretty much as we could, if not everything. The idea being that I want the car to finally be reliable. So if I see something loosen up, I want to take note of it. Anyway, so what I wanted to show you guys was, I'm putting the knuckles together right now. So the driver's side knuckle is back together. And I wanted to show you guys, so this is a Dynalite caliper with an 11.75 inch floating rotor. And in order to get it to fit, you have to do some shimming, some custom shimming up here. See how it's shimmed there? So there's three little shims and then two big washers, I believe, in there. Maybe three big washers, or maybe it's 5 little shims and two big washers, something like that. But basically, you also have to file down the knuckle to get this to fit. And if you don't file it down enough, you get this happening. So you see how there's like that little leading edge on the bottom of the pad. So I went back behind here. Let's see if I can get you a good view. So you see those two, see how that ear on the right is hitting the ear on the left? Well, the ear on the left is the brake caliper. The ear on the right is the knuckle. So I need to grind that down a little bit more so I can get the caliper to sit a little bit more flush. And then when I do that, I should be able to rid myself of any uneven pad wear issues that I'm having. These are great pads. They're ST43s, very hard to come by, but I love them, and I managed to get a pretty decent amount of them for this season at a very good price through friends. So yep, let's get that fixed. All right, it's looking better. It's not perfect. Not you know, there's still a little bit of a leading edge here, but it's definitely better than it was before. So that's all tightened up over here. So we're gonna go ahead and snug them down with the ratchet just to make sure that I didn't, you know, fool myself in my head. And then I'm gonna mark it with the marker, and then we're gonna mark everything else. All right, we got this end all squared up, and we got all the markings done over here. As you can see, markings are even done on the bolts for the header. Markings done on the VTEC solenoid, throttle body, as I mentioned before. We got to throw a battery in this car. Does not have a battery. Will not run without a battery, but first we're going to go down to this little post here. We're going to tape that up, make sure it doesn't short the ground. And yep. All right, the car is returning to the ghetto semblance of itself. So this is something that I want to fix, and I'm probably going to fix it after I check the rear of the car. But this is a very long intake air temp sensor. On the H4 cars, they run a stock ECU. So you want to trick the ECU into thinking that the air you're getting for the motor is cooler than it is, so it can supply more fuel. As long as you can get more air into the motor, you can get more fuel into the motor, take advantage of that, and then you can play with fuel pressure regulators to make the car make a little bit more power. Kind of old school, but that's what H4 was. So that's a remnant of H4. I don't like how it's sitting up against this hose right here. I do like this intake setup. So what I'm gonna do probably is drill a hole here, take this hole, and then get some JB welder epoxy and just put a plate over it because I don't have a TIG welder. And then I'm gonna shorten up this wire and then redo that connector so that the length is perfect. You know, I might even put it like on top here. I might put it a little bit over here, but that way it's not rubbing against this wire. I did put a bunch of electrical tape on it to prevent it from kinking too much. But you can see, as you can see, it's way too long. It's being held with a zip tie right now. Other things that I did, so I put the battery in. This is a new ground wire. My builder determined that the old ground wire was probably not getting enough current flow because it had like just contact right here because the terminal ring was too big. And so I put a zip tie inside the terminal ring so that it would slide on and make contact, but it was just here. He said it was a little bit loose here too. So he put on a new one from actually my buddy Alex's car that he had lying around his shop. And this one fits the battery perfectly for whatever reason. I guess the previous owner of the Civic replaced that ground wire. I don't know, I never touched it. And then we have the power attached. We also went and, I don't know if you can see it from up here, but if you look down there, see that piece of that black part in between these two hoses, right? That black part is actually electric taped hot part of the terminal. And then what else did we do? We also zip tied this map sensor. So this is actually a Honda service bolt-in to zip tie this from the old B series cars because the map sensor falls off or wiggles and it causes running issues. So my overflow bottle finally failed. There's a pinhole right at the bottom here, but I've had this in the car for a long time. It's an old Powerade bottle. I originally tried to get an Integra overflow bottle on this car, but it wouldn't fit with the Civic bracket. So in the trash this goes. Sad to see. So now we got to make a new overflow bottle. Not sure what I'm gonna use. So I got this sippy cup at the Kimmel Center in Philly. Went to go see a show there, musical piece, and I'm using this as my new overflow cup. It looks like it'll work. This little, I don't know where this is from. It's probably from somewhere in the car. I did test fit it, so it's gonna sit right here, and I gotta drill this out, and it's gonna have a little little tiny breather port. Should be pretty cool. It's originally for beer. So if you go into the Kimmel Center, you close this off and you don't spill it over their nice floors. But yeah, we're gonna drill this out and we're gonna put it in the car. All right, that's it. So this, if I need to fill it, this little thing comes off, but it snaps into place. Otherwise, there's a little vent, like I said, allows for the water to come up and down. And then, as you can see, it's now clear, which it wasn't before. A lot of rust in this system, and that's after cleaning it, by the way. So now we're going to reconnect the fan switch, and we'll be done with having an overflow and all that stuff. But I think I'm going to stop for tonight. I might finish up the cigar. I saw my son in the window, my bird. He wants me to put him to bed. So I'm going to finish up the cigar, and yeah, I think this video was long enough for you guys. But anyway, peace out. Thanks for watching, as usual.